Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of What's Driving Token Prices. I'm your host, Katie Talati, Director of Research at Arca. For those joining us for the first time, I'm responsible for identifying and analyzing digital asset and blockchain opportunities for Arca's funds. As part of our research, my team and I examine token prices and the market events that act as catalysts for price change. Based on our research and market events over the past week, here's some notable token price movements and what we think drove these moves. As a reminder, this commentary is not intended to be investment advice, investment research, or an investment recommendation. Please consult your investment professional for your own circumstances. All right, guys, welcome back to another crazy week here in the crypto world. Today, Ethereum officially turns 10 years old. Congrats. We're also getting some pretty cool announcements on just the more macro front. JP Morgan Chase announced today that they're partnering with Coinbase to, starting in 2026, essentially allow their users of their cards and their bank accounts to connect directly to Coinbase for purchasing crypto, which is a huge 180 than like from a year ago. The other big thing is that the SEC has put out a rule allowing for in-kind creations and redemptions on ETFs. Of note, to date, you've only been able to contribute cash and then also redeem cash from these ETF products. Doing the in-kind redemption creation should actually help smooth out some of the issues that are kind of on the infrastructure sides of having an ETF that trades like this. The Federal Reserve in the last couple of hours has left rates unchanged. And the last piece of news is that the White House actually just released today a 160-page working doc on kind of what their recommendations are for crypto regulation guidelines. This was prepared by the White House Crypto Task Force. So all very positive on the macro front, but as always, we're here to talk about the tokens. So we will get started. So first up for today, I'm talking about Maple Finance. So Maple Finance is this week they passed a proposal just yesterday to increase the buyback on their syrup token from 20% to 25% of revenue. So Maple Finance, if you're not familiar with them, they have seen tremendous growth this year. They're up 2,400% in TVL. They've successfully pivoted their business to a collateralized lending business from an under collateralized lending business. Their focus has been on institutional investors and kind of offering more different strategies for those investors to kind of generate their maximum amount of yield. So the buyback change also comes as the company announced that they're going to be targeting about $30 million to make $30 million in ARR for the end of the year, along with a $5 billion TVL mark. They're currently at over $3 billion in TVL. Finally, the Korean exchange Upbit listed syrup on Thursday, which caused syrup to just scream higher to 62 cents. Since then, though, it's retraced its gains and it's now down about 6.8% for the week. Okay, next up is Optimism. So Layer 2 Optimism this last week went through a pretty big upgrade, which is basically going to be supporting a variety of improvements, including increasing decentralization, throughput, and introducing some new interoperability features. So the upgrade kind of removes some of the older features from Optimism, which essentially allow the foundation to freeze the chain in certain transactions. This particularly is important to L2Beat, which is a website that ranks L2 chains based on their security, their decentralization, and other features. And they were updating some of their stats this week. And basically, if Optimism didn't do this upgrade, they would have been dropped from this ranking list, which was a bit of a big deal. The other big thing is that they update, like I said, they kind of worked on a bunch of interoperability features. One of them is messaging, and the other thing is something called the Optimism Portal, which is kind of the first step towards Optimism's superchain future. So the future superchain is the idea that any of the chains built on the OP stack will eventually be able to kind of talk to each other and kind of transact freely across borders. Some of the OP chains that you might know of, Coinbase's Base, Kraken's Inc., which just launched, and then also Uniswap's Unichain. This would be very powerful if they could connect seamlessly and have value flow freely between them. With this, Optimism is down 4% for the week. Okay, last up, we're going to talk about Centrifuge. So Centrifuge is an RWA project. They've been around for several years now. This last week, they actually underwent a chain migration and launched on several EVM chains in what they're calling their V3 upgrade. So Centrifuge actually previously was based on their own Substrate-based change. So Substrate is the Polkadot kind of ecosystem and coding language. It's a bit more, it's kind of not as widely used anymore, especially for chains that are kind of going after some of these larger use cases in the RWA space. But basically, they decided that they're going to be migrating their product back to Ethereum and adding support for most of the big EVM chains, which includes Base, Arbitrum, Avalanche, BNB Chain, and Plume. So the help of Wormhole, they've used Wormhole for this interoperability piece. They basically are now allowing for the creation and launch of any tokenized assets across multiple chains without the need for deep technical expertise on each of those chains. Centrifuge currently has about 667 million in TVL. We'll have to watch to see if this increases in the coming months. The project did increase their CFG token up 18% on the news of this migration. All right, guys, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed our insights. Tune in next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear what's driving token prices.